hopelessness, meaningless, indoctrination. These are the three overarching themes found in Dr. Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. Hello, good morning to the fellow judges, teachers, my family, and anyone else present. My name is Aleya Arbee, and I am a student of the school SM Stella Maris. Today I'll be presenting to you 5 of my all-time favorite books. The first of which, as you may have already heard, is a book written by Dr. Viktor E. Frankl titled Man's Search for Meaning. Now, this book is a collection of Frankl's experiences in various concentration camps during the Second World War, including the infamous Auschwitz and Dachau camps. Experiences which eventually led him to his theory on the importance of meaning in one's life, one he liked to call logos, which is the Greek word for meaning. Another book written by someone who witnessed the Holocaust is titled Diary of a Young Girl, and it was written by Anne Frank. Though this book is much more personal and contains much less formality, as it was written by a 13-year-old. For most people, the Holocaust was a completely hopeless period in history. Some would even go as far as to call you delusional for having any semblance of hope for ever getting out and reuniting with your family. These chronic feelings of hopelessness led most of the Jewish prisoners to lose all meaning in their lives, leading them to live meaningless existences. But, as they say, in darkness there is light, and we as humans in hopelessness strive to find purpose. Which brings us to the last thing that can be taken from this book: the freedom you have over your own mind. What Frankl liked to call the last of the human freedoms. Frankl held the belief that humans could create their own meaning, which would then be the primary motivation to live and to keep existing. Now, you might ask, what causes the majority of a country's population to commit such heinous acts? I don't know, but I do have a theory: indoctrination. Let's take, for example, the Jonestown Massacre. Jim Jones was the leader of a cult named People's Temple. In the late 1970s, Jones was able to convince over 900 people, close to 1,000, to move to South America with him to create their own socialist utopia. But as you can probably tell, that didn't happen. And as the years went by and Jones grew more and more delusional, paranoid, and psychotic, he thought that the US government was right behind his back. He thought that every single step or every move that he took was being monitored. So what did he do? Run away? Hide? No. He convinced the entire town's population to commit mass suicide. The Jonestown Massacre resulted in the deaths of 909 people, a third of which were children who were force-fed cyanide by their own parents. The topic of indoctrination, or what Freud liked to call religious feeling or cult-like feeling, is discussed more thoroughly in psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud's book titled Civilization and Its Discontents. Such life experiences can leave people broken and their minds shattered. This kind of trauma is discussed in psychologist Tanya Byron's book, Skeleton Cupboard, where she writes of her years treating mentally ill people during her clinical training, one of which was himself a victim of the Holocaust. I won't lie to you, I lost a lot of hope after reading those books, but I was able to counter it by reminding myself of all of the things and people that make me happy in life, that make me enjoy life, that make life worth living. To do this, I used the gratitude journal, curated by the team Kurzgesagt. Now, you don't have to buy a fancy book to start your own journal. You could have a piece of paper and a pencil and you're set, you know? But I just absolutely adore how they filled the book with cute little drawings of little birds and tree houses, and how in every few pages there are little snippets of psychological studies on the topic of gratitude. Now, the overall theme or lesson found in these 5 books is the show of human resilience. We often find ourselves in an utterly meaningless existence, yet we are hopeful in the search for purpose. So, what can we conclude from all these books? Is that, like I've said before, the last thing anyone could ever take from you is your mind. And from your mind, you form your own personal purpose. What is your purpose? Thank you. It's muted.
Okay, thank you, candidate from Kota Kinabalu. So well done. Okay, based on your 5 books, it looks and sounds very serious, but that is your preference. So my question is, based on your readings, what event or which events from the 5 books affected you the most and why?
Out of the 5 books, the event that affected me the most is, I think you have already guessed it, the Holocaust. I thought that, before I read Viktor Frankl's book, I knew, just like any other person, okay, the Holocaust happened, right? But you don't really think about it. After I read that book, it hit me. It hit me like a pile of bricks. It was so mind-boggling how millions of people could treat more other millions of people like dirt, like worse than dirt. And after, from Viktor Frankl's experiences, I thought that was it. I thought that was the worst. But then you realize that he's incredibly fortunate because he was well versed in the field, in the medical field. He was a psychiatrist, so he was deemed valuable by the concentration camps, more valuable than dirt, because you're a doctor. So there are people less fortunate than him. Yeah.
Okay, final question. Based on your reading, did it change your ambition in any way before this? What is your ambition?
Well, before reading these 5 books, my ambition was actually to become a marine biologist because, the ocean's so pretty and so many beautiful life in the ocean. But after reading these books, I became more attached to humans, I guess you could say. It brought me closer to humanity because back then I was a bit of a misanthropist. I didn't like people, I didn't want to be around them. I thought people were dumb. But after reading these 5 books, it gave me insight that I don't know anything, and humans are just so much more. You just have to let them open up and talk to you, and that, it just made me want to know more about humanity. So now, after reading these 5 books, I'm actually planning on continuing to become a sociologist. So yeah, I want to study the topic or the subject of sociology.
Okay, thank you very much for your views. So congratulations for representing your district, Kota Kinabalu, and all the best in your studies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.